preparation for our first meeting in November the 4th. And so I will say Happy Halloween to everyone, and shut my phone off. Happy Halloween to everyone. A little candy spread around for your enjoyment. We will first have a presentation by did Thomas. Yes, Thomas did show up. Well, a minute ago you weren't there, now you're there, so I was delighted to have you. Philip Carter and Thomas Stewart are going to present some library upgrades. I think he has well, there it is, up on the screen, but we also have a handout. So, Mr. Carter, okay. I will turn it over to you and let you and Thomas work to make whatever presentation y'all have. No direction needed for this. So.
And we're going to be relatively swift with y'all because we want to be very protective of your time. We're very appreciative of the support that Starkville has shown to the Starkville-Oktibbeha County Public Library System, especially the building of Starkville Public Library. We just finished the complete overhaul of the HVAC system, which we're very thankful for. It is just in time for the weather to start to turn cold on us. So that's been a major renovation that we'll talk about. Between that major renovation that the city of Starkville has paid for and the two smaller HVAC units that a TVA grant through Starkville Utilities paid for, and also the renovation of our lights to all LED. We're working very hard to get more energy efficient. But we need to talk about our building as a whole. Yes, ma'am.
Can I point out for people who might not know otherwise that it is the Starkville-Oktibbeha County Public Library, but the building belongs to the city of Starkville.
Correct. So we have three branches in our system: Starkville Public, Maben Public, and Sturgis Public, and each of those, the municipality themselves own the building that we are housed in. State law actually prohibits us from owning property. So we want to talk a little bit, I didn't know it was going to be that fancy. We're going to talk about what we want to do, the overview of the project. I'm not going to read this all to you, but we're going to talk about how much we do in the community to illustrate need. I came to this library system in 2020. It was a great year to come to anywhere, brand new. I was here for 6 weeks before we had to deal with the ramifications of COVID. We took that time to really look at the way our facility was utilized. During our downtime, I spent all of my hours in the Starkville Public Library moving things around. Those of you that might have been there before I got there and have been there since have noticed that things are moved. There's very little furniture left in the library that I have not personally moved. I spent nights till 3 a.m. rearranging bookshelves to be more efficient and ADA compliant, to make sure they're accessible, to move our large print closer to the circulation desk so that people that actually needed it could get to it. Because I'm a big believer that your building and your space are customer service. The way you are aligned and presented is part of your customer service experience, and we have an amazing community here in Starkville that use our library. And we want to talk about how much they use it. So community benefits: renovating Starkville Public Library will enhance access to information. It will foster cultural enrichment and stimulate local economy. Some of you may not realize that, but public libraries tend to be one of those things that companies look at when they want to move to an area. They want to know, what do the people I'm going to hire and ship to this area have to do? What are there museums? Are there libraries? Are there parks? I'm going to talk about parks just a little bit as a comparison. When I got here, we had a good library system. But I came here with a vision that we needed to be a more engaged and a more community-driven library system. Granted, I had to start with COVID, so we're going to throw out about 2.5 years. But in the last 3 years, we have hit record numbers for this library system, for library visits, for library programs, for attendance at programs. And that's despite being, so the way we're grouped by libraries is by population service area. In our service population group, 40,001 to 60,000, there are 8 library systems in the state. We are the 7th best funded. But we are continually number 1, number 2, or number 3 in every service category. And it's not by small margins. This past year we had over 23,000 people attend programming at the public library. We're second to Hancock County Public Library System, the best funded library system in the state per capita. Our second highest library system, or third, the one below us, is Columbus Lowndes at about 8,000 attending programs. To give you an idea of how much work that staff down there are doing. I cannot be prouder of them. We also circulated over 102,000 physical items this year. I've not even counted all the digital circulations for the last fiscal year yet. We've never broken 6 digits before. Some of the programs we offer, very much, most of those numbers are kids and their parents. We also have a very vibrant YA program. You can see we partner with MSU as the entomology department that brought a bug petting zoo. I saved y'all some of the more gruesome photos. You can see some of our story time photos on the bottom left. You can see our summer reading program. We're busting at the seams in Starkville. Some more of our teen programming and some more of our story time. I reused a photo. I apologize for that. I tried not to just, I could post 36 wall of kid photos from our programming at the library. But our building, so our original building was built in 1967. There was an addition put on in the 90s. I don't remember the exact year. That's when we added on the western part of the building, which houses our stacks now. And then in the early 2000s, we got the local history and genealogy collection through funds donated from Betsy Stark and her family. But in the older part of the building especially, we have deteriorating windows. You can see that completely rotting boards. That's one of the newer windows that was installed in the building as well. Our doors are decaying, and at night you can see the light through the cracks in the bottom of our doors. We have a facade around the top of the building that's been in place since '67. It's starting to leak and wear. When I arrived at the library, there was actually, this drain pipe had been displaced and leaking into the wall for years. I got that repaired almost immediately because inside you could see where the inside plaster was sloughing off onto the floor and it was hidden behind a bookcase. We have cracking floors in our restrooms that are rising up from buckling the foundation. We have water spots that are from past leaks that have been repaired. And that particular hole has been patched twice in my time. I think 3 times previously. It continues to fall through. It's just not holding up. And you see this is our floor in the main area where there's a seam in the foundation. The tile is the original '67 tile, if you're curious.
It's coming back into style.
Yeah, oh yeah, millennial gray and all that. We have tiles falling. Those tiles falling are in the newest portion of our library. That's the local history collection. We're very lucky none's fallen on anyone's head yet, but they do fall at random times. I'm going to be getting up there with a scaffold very soon and scraping them all off and repainting the ceiling myself because I cannot seem to find a handyman willing to take so small a job. We have cracking seams and paint. We have water stains, again, that are just part of things that have been repaired over the years, but they've piled up on us. So we are hoping that y'all will, green light, a little bit of a facelift. Renovation is probably too strong a word, but I didn't like the word facelift in a presentation. We just want to fix some of the appearance of the library with the new HVAC, with the new LEDs. We want to fix some of our other energy and efficiencies as well. We want to modernize our facilities. We want to expand some of our community spaces. And we especially want to enhance accessibility for those with barriers to accessing the library.
Is it not currently ADA accessible?
Parts are, but parts aren't. We do not have automatic opening doors. Our circulation desk is bar height, so anyone in a wheelchair cannot see over the circulation desk. We do have an aging elevator that at one point, that's fine for now. I've checked with our maintenance company. We're okay for a while, but at some point that will be, the elevator was added in the 90s renovation, to give you an idea of the age of it. And so I have been talking with Thomas Stewart about ways we can achieve some of these goals because we need to know how much was this going to cost. And then we started talking about, I proposed renovating some spaces. I want to take, and you'll have this in your handout because I realize this is incredibly tiny and there's no way to really see it. I want to take out, first of all, the storefront at the front of our library The big glass panes that those of you that have been to the library have seen, they were installed in either the 90s or the 2000s renovation, I'm not sure exactly. They were installed incorrectly. Those are single panes of glass. They are unattached at the bottom. Don't tell anyone you can actually move the entire glass wall with your foot.
You just did.
Yeah, I know, because y'all need to know. I want to actually take that out. It's not energy efficient. It's a liability waiting to happen. I have been told by those that have been there longer, we have had someone just walk through the glass once and shatter it. It's been replaced at least once. I want to take that, I want to push it out. I want to take that patio that currently exists and make it indoor space. I want to expand our size of the library. I want to move our circulation desk, which we talked about is not ADA accessible. It was built by a local craftsman. I don't know the name because it's been a while. And it is marble topped, and it is beautiful and beautifully inefficient for a modern library. I want to take it, I want to create a modular circulation desk that can be shifted and moved and adapt to our circumstances at the given time, because we do have a limited space with a lot of people coming in our space. We want to be adaptable. I've already been talking to a library vendor about what we can do to make that happen. I want to, trying to see the bottom. We have some upstairs space that is our staff area. That's great, but it is open and sound carries in our building, big tall ceilings, hard surfaces everywhere. We want to glass that off a little bit so that it reduces some of the noise pollution, and also we want to create some office space for our growing staff at the Starkville Public Library. Right now they're all working in sort of a communal space and tripping over each other. Obviously other things to go with this: new flooring, we want to repaint. Some people might not like this idea. We have currently 2 entrances into the children's room. One is that door. That door is narrower than it looks in that photo, and it looks pretty narrow in that photo. You ever try to get a stroller through that door? It is not fun. And it is cavernous when you walk through it. We actually want to remove that. We want to just put easy, accessible double doors right there. We want to get rid of the outer entrance that's on the patio that is not used, because it used to be the entrance to a meeting room when that space was used as a meeting room. We also want to do some things to the exterior. We want to, this is from Thomas, this is his, we need to be very specific. This is a vibes rendering, not an exact rendering. This is an idea. We want to update the facade. We want to make it more eye-catching. We want to create an outdoor patio seating space to take advantage of all of the beautiful work that's being done on the Main Street renovation and reaches all the way down to us. We want to increase accessibility. We want to make our doors more visible, but then also we want to add those accessible doors that can have automatic opening and closing. We want to match more aesthetics. Obviously, some of you recognize this aesthetic from the Need More Center. Also, this is going to give us the opportunity to extend the Main Street renovation in a way that wasn't in the Main Street plan originally. I would like to see us become the eastern gateway to downtown. Because we are. We're not on Main Street, we're on University, but y'all know that that corner at South Montgomery and University is a massive pass-through for people. I want people to know when they cross that street that they're coming into downtown Starkville. And to do that, I also want to create a mural. This has been in my plan for about 4 years. This picture is the Kansas City Public Library. Their mural, like this, extends around their entire city block. I don't want to do that, that's a lot. But what I would like to do is I would like to turn the eastern wall of our library that faces Montgomery into a photo-worthy destination location stopping point with a mural focusing on Mississippi authors on book spines along that wall. So you're going to see a price inside the packet that I've given you and in this next slide, and then I'm going to hand it over to Thomas so he can talk about the actual nuts and bolts of things. That price does not include the mural because I got the quote later. I talked to Deborah Mansfield. She crunched the numbers. Mural this size to fit our eastern wall is going to be about $55,000. That is kit and caboodle. That's everything. I also want to, some of you know our Reed sign that's along South Montgomery. I love that. But it's hidden. It's in trees. I don't like it there. I want to pull it up, and I want to put it at the corner facing the intersection of Montgomery and University and light it up. I want to repaint it, resurface it, whatever we need to do to make it shine, so that I will stop getting asked where the public library is in Starkville, Mississippi. When I introduce myself as the library director here, the most common question I get first is, oh, on campus? No, I'd be wearing much better shoes. The next question is, oh, where's the public library? I'm tired of answering that question. I don't want to have to answer that question anymore. I want when people pass through downtown Starkville, they don't think we're the AT&T maintenance building anymore, because it's the exact same architecture. So I'm going to let Thomas talk about this part.
Well,
Oh, yes,
let's not leave the little bronze.
Oh,
Where is it you're envisioning that?
so the bronze children sitting on a bench that you're used to seeing that would be in this area would get moved. Obviously, this is a rendering. We would keep our ramp instead of steps.
Right.
And so what it would actually create, if we keep the archways we currently have, my way I envision it is 2 large window panes on each side and the double door in the center. The children bench could go in front of the right window, right there, caddy corner, unmissable.
Okay, it's just a cool little.
It's extremely cool, and I want to focus it more
Yeah.
than where it is now. And then our bike rack would go in front of the other window, because we still need a place to put our bike rack. We have a lot of people that bicycle to the library. And then that front door would be extremely accessible, ramped, automatic doors. All right, Thomas, this is your area.
I got one more question.
Oh, yes, ma'am.
What's your busiest days? What are your busiest
Our
days?
busiest days are Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday.
Okay, so not the weekend.
Not the weekends. We do get some on Saturdays. Saturdays have become busier, but we have become the home for the Starkville Knights Chess Club. If you ever want to come to the library and see a bunch of 7 to 12-year-olds get really rowdy, come watch them play chess. I'm not making this up. I have been practicing chess for 1.5 years now to go up there and play against them. I'm not ready yet. They are really good. They are award-winning. They used to be housed on campus, but campus can be such a bugbear to traverse that we partnered with them. We wrote a grant. We got a bunch of really nice chess sets and clocks, and so we host them every Saturday without fail. Anybody is welcome to join them and play, which is why I'm going to go get beat by a bunch of 7-year-olds. It's going to be awesome. But so Saturdays can get busy. Fridays actually tend to be our slowest day.
Okay.
We are hoping at some point in the future. I was hoping to have our 5-year strategic plan for you. It got delayed. It's going to be available next month at our board meeting once it gets approved. One of the things people have asked for is later hours. So we're actually hoping to add an extra hour of service at some point in the future. Takes staffing, takes money, on Monday and Tuesday.
So is this, your busy time is after school, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday?
Actually, our busiest time is in the morning. So we installed new door counters so we could get more accurate counts, and they actually provide me hourly counts instead of just a daily count. And I've discovered that we are the busiest between 9 and 11 o'clock in the morning, and then it picks back up in the afternoon a little bit. There's a little bit of a lull in the middle of the day, but those are our busiest times.
Okay, thank you.
I sat in on one of the strategic planning meetings that they had, and one of the things that surprised me was that there were 30, 40 somethings that were there who were interested in extended hours for more adult kind of community gatherings. And we focus a lot on the children in the library, but it's used by all age groups.
Yeah, I should talk about the way our library is used real quick. The 25 to 55 group is really the hardest group to get in that library, that 30-year age range, unless they're accompanying kids to programs, like William does very often. We have a really great adult programming coordinator who's really put together some, I don't want to use the term low effort, but easy to access programming. We do passive programming. We have a plant swap that meets at the library about once a month to just come bring clippings and share plants with each other. We have a fabrics group that's part of the local fabrics guild, but they meet at the library to work on their fabrics projects and just talk as a program. We call it Common Threads. And actually with the recent closing of Bookmark and Cafe, they used to meet there a second time each week, so we have inherited their second meeting, so they're now coming twice a week to our library. That's a really fun group if you ever just want to sit and enjoy conversation. There was one woman, I wish I could remember who it was, she brought her spinning wheel and spins her own yarn sometimes at the library. It's really great. But we have something for literally every age group, from our author talks, fabric group, plant swaps, petting zoos. We try to meet the need of our community in every way that we can find it.
Well, I do want to give you kudos. I went to the reptile, whatever deal it was, and got to see all the frogs and the snakes and it was pretty cool.
Yeah, he is great. He is a herpetologist out of Auburn, Alabama, because the gentleman in Mississippi that used to do it, y'all may have known him as the Snake Man. I literally can't remember his real name because I know him as the Snake Man. He finally retired, so we had to find a new Snake Man because the kids still lose their mind for snakes and lizards.
And one thing that Philip hasn't mentioned, that this is a community service, public service announcement here. There's a gentleman who volunteers 2 hours a month or a week, 2 hours
A week.
To do tech support for the general public. So if you're struggling with your iPhone or your iPad or whatever.
His name's Dalton. It's Wednesdays at 2 o'clock. He comes in and offers free tech support, whatever your question is, because our library staff is stretched about as thin as we can get. And so it's been really nice to have him come in. I was told that on this past Wednesday, he had 12 people in 2 hours that he assisted. That's a lot for tech support to handle in 2 hours, which he's starting to get overwhelmed. For a while there, he sat there a little bored because nobody would ask him. They weren't sure what was going on. And now that the awareness is getting out there, he's getting very, very busy. We're very thankful to have that service.
Thank you, Philip. Thomas,
Of course.
sorry to delay you there, but.
No, I'm good. I'm good. So I can't match Philip's energy. But if you didn't know, the library, I've learned, is highly used by the community and has a passionate director. And the building, as you all know, needs some visibility increase and it needs some modernization. Most of us that are from the 60s probably could use a little help. So, yes, particularly windows. There's a lot of problems on all the way around the buildings with windows, some water intrusion issues. So this is we've kind of taken a bite at it, a big bite at it, but not completely redoing the whole building. So we're trying to take the two different roof lines and marry them up into one more modern look and place windows. And then Phil's already talked about some of the issues with, pulling the entry out and capturing some of that space to be in the interior and some finishes on the inside. So that's, I think you all probably got a packet of that. It's kind of a breakdown of early estimations of what those things may cost.
Have you actually looked at it, keeping those arches?
We have looked at it that way too. Yeah.
I mean, this
Yeah,
obviously doesn't reflect that, so.
No, we looked at both. So that's still us. We hadn't been hired, so we haven't really.
Okay, no, I
We can
understand.
bring multiple different looks.
Thus far, Thomas has done this out of the kindness of his heart, wanting us to hire them to finish
He
this
is
off.
community man.
He is a
so
community man.
Appreciate that volunteer effort.
Yes, ma'am.
So, I noticed the bathrooms are not ADA, but it looks like we're making a lot of other changes that are ADAs.
Yeah, so we're hoping that that's a fat estimate and that there's some more we can pick up some of those things, like I really hate to put new board and paint everything and not do anything to the ceilings too, so, cause they're gonna look 20, 30 years old.
Okay.
And I
you
will
do
ask
what-
that our
can-
family restroom downstairs is ADA.
Yes.
So since there is an elevator that can access it, that one is thankfully ADA.
And Phil was talking about taking the tiles down. And sheetrock's above the tiles?
Well, no, there's not. What we would want to do is replace the tiles that need replacing. But in the process, Thomas mentioned, because I never even thought of this, he said we can paint the grid so that it looks new,
Yeah.
and then we drop new tiles in. It's way less than replacing the entire ceiling. It gives it that new look.
How much space is there above the tiles?
Could be.
A lot,
Yeah.
because I was gonna say, just drop the tiles, period, and
Yeah, I mean, we could,
do what other
we
people.
could do
That's
more
a
modern.
heating issue, but anyway, just.
We would also run into cabling issue, because we have an awful lot of infrastructure cabling that goes above that tile work.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, but if you want to, you can do that and paint it all out black.
Just be one of those things you can look at as you go along.
Absolutely.
Okay, anybody, any other questions? Thomas, were you, was that it?
Yeah, I mean, I think Phil covered most of what we were talking about scope-wise. You know, there was on that rendering a little outdoor seating area to be larger. The bronze bench might could go in there, if we could try to save that tree that's over there or not.
Yeah. Okay, well, we'll be getting to Montgomery at the end of next year, middle to the end of next year?
Should be, that's the last piece that we have, so we've got time to be
Okay.
deciding on it, as
Yeah.
far as that goes. And in the Main Street project, it's the intersection that goes all the way in front of the building. So the front piece is in that. On the Main Street project's a unit price project, so if there's something that needs to be changed or gone through, it'll be easy enough to say, okay, we don't need to do that sidewalk, or hey, there's a little bit more sidewalk that we need to do. So there's flexibility inside of it, we'll just need to, you know, be deciding sooner rather than later.
Well, and
before the
coordination is
changes need
gonna
to
be an important piece of that.
I'm just really excited that y'all are considering this. It means a lot to me and the vision I have for this library. I told people, when I was formerly the library director down in Lamar County, Mississippi, we library directors get together quarterly in Jackson for directors meetings, and we'll regularly hang out after our training sessions. And we'll talk about other libraries in the state, and I'd always said that the one library system in the state I would go to over where I was Starkville. And I'm so glad to be here, and I'm so glad to have a board that is open to these ideas, because I really think we have a great opportunity to create. When McKee Park opened, I was lucky to go to the opening as a member of the Starkville Ambassadors, and I love that park. But something I've heard from a couple of people, and I think a couple of you have mentioned it to me, is people see it and they're like, oh, this isn't the thing I'd expect to be in Starkville. And I'm so tired of hearing that.
We're changing that now.
Yeah, I'm tired of chasing standards. I want our library to be setting standards. And I really, really look forward to working with y'all on this project.
What can you envision as your, or what is your goal as attendance or participation? You're at 23, are you looking at 50? I mean, what would your expectation be that we could manage?
My goal is, it's really hard for us to look at it too big, because the way libraries are established in Mississippi is really nebulous. There's 3 ways systems can be set up, but the smallest is an entire county. And then the biggest library systems in the state are 5 counties. So it's really hard to compare numbers that way. So ultimately, my goal is to beat the best library in our population service area, and that's Hancock County. I want to beat them.
What is theirs number?
But for funding?
No, I'm talking
Oh,
participation.
participation. We'll probably never beat their visits. I don't know. They get.
Well, they have a much bigger population.
They do have a bigger
Yeah.
population. They get into the hundreds of thousands of visits. They have more branches is sort of their issue. So, but we can absolutely overtake them in circulation. We can overtake them in a program attendance.
Well, you're being competitive. I'm just asking you, what do you think we could aspire to as it relates to participation for our community?
I absolutely think we could be a 200,000 a year visits library, just based on the fact that I get the question, where's the public library? It tells me some people don't even know where we are right now, and I think a facelift changes that. And our patrons that use the library are extremely passionate about their library system, and so we want to bring in new people, and that's been my goal since I got here, is to get people who have not been in the library for a long time to come
Okay.
visit us.
All right, thank you. Any other questions of Mr. Carter while we have him?
Mayor, let me mention one thing. Obviously, this has not been to the budget committee, this proposal.
No, this is the first we've seen
I
it.
understand. And the overall project amount is $750,000. How much is he asking from this board?
I
He's
don't-
not asked for, he's not asked for.
I
anything.
understand. Mayor, I'm directing this to
Oh,
you.
Nothing at this point. This is a proposal we asked him to do in order to give us some idea what we'd be looking at.
I understand, but this is a friendly housekeeping question, but we're getting there. How much are you asking for this city to potentially donate or contribute or give or tender toward that $750,000 project?
Because
No, my question is how much?
Sure, it's unfortunately all of it. Because of state law and because the building belongs to the city, any capital improvements are actually barred from coming from our library operating budget by state law and AG opinion. Because it fundamentally increases the value of the property, these would not be eligible to come out of our operating budget. And $750,000 is almost our entire annual budget.
Thank you, Mayor.
Yes. Okay, yes, ma'am.
And I'd like to just kind of put a bow on it all to say that it's a 60-something-year-old building. It's well used by the people who use it. I do think there's a lot of potential for growth. The family alone is going to drive numbers up. And I think this is a lot of bang for the buck. It's not often that we invest less than $1 million and get that kind of an improvement in services, particularly buildings and streets and all parks. You know, we talk about numbers that are much bigger than this, but it's a third place that really helps build community identity and is a gathering place for a lot of people, way more than just books. So I'm very supportive of this, and I think as far as budgeting goes, it's something that we can fund through bonds. We have a couple of other small projects that are out there. We can fund it with bonds over as long as 20 years if we wanted to, but if you broke it down over 10 years, you're talking about less than $100,000 a year for 10 years to make that happen. And there's not that many projects that we will take on that at that price that will deliver that kind of result. And the timing is perfect. If we're redoing Main Street, if we're redoing that Montgomery intersection, it's a great time for us to do something there to make the library look like it belongs in this century. So.
Alderwoman, if I could, if we're going to talk financial propositions, and I'm happy to talk those numbers. Sometimes my passion gets away from me and I talk big picture, but I can talk dollars and cents. I'm really happy to. I told you earlier, this past fiscal year, we circulated in the library system 102,000 physical items. 90% of that's out of the Starkville Public Library. And if you want just the value that we've saved, the citizens of Starkville and Oktibbeha County, I'll tell you, our average cost per physical item in the library is about $17. We had 102,000 circulations. I can do really quick math. That's about $1.7 million we saved the people of Starkville and Oktibbeha County and not having to buy their own materials. That's before we talk about computer access, internet access. It's before we talk about programming and cultural events and author events and meeting places for so many cultural groups. Starkville Strong does their intake at the Starkville Public Library once a week. We have book clubs that meet there. The dollars returned on investment in the library is almost exponential.
Okay. This would be another meeting for us
Sure.
to talk about this fuller. So we'll move you aside since we've got
Absolutely.
another one,
You've
but
got
I
lots.
greatly appreciate you being here, and I do think it's worth another discussion, considering that there may be an opportunity. Have you approached the county at all about sharing some of the, I mean, they share it, granted it's our building, but they're still, well, let me ask you this. Do you keep a record of whether or not they are in city or outside city participants?
No, we don't. And unfortunately, and like I said, 90% of activity in our library system, roughly thereabout, give or take some margin of error there, is in the Starkville Public Library. That is the most
Right,
of it.
no, and I understand that, but that you've got a city limit aspect, and then you've got outside the city limits that is county.
Of course.
So that might be some information to capture.
I don't know that we have
how.
an accurate method for capturing that information entirely, because we also do partner with MSU. So every student and every faculty and every staff at MSU, their faculty ID works in our public library as if there was a library card.
Well, there
and
may
we
be
don't
other
capture that
options then.
information.
Okay, all right. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Thank you all so much.
Thank you, Thomas. Appreciate you being here too. All right, Edward, you're up next.
All right. Thank you, Mayor, Vice Mayor, Board. Glad to be with you this morning. We had our budget meeting last week, and the the mayor wanted me to share some of the results of the efforts we've made here in the last several months related to water loss before I introduce our other topic for today. This is, you have before you on the screen a graph of the improvements that we've made on water loss over the last 9 months or so. And just to kind of bring the board up to speed on that, you can see some improvement, both of the total unadjusted loss and then our unknown losses, which we continue to track. And I feel like that's been a top priority and goal for us for this calendar year, and will continue to be, because we've obviously got some more work to do, but we're making a lot of strides.
Well, I think it was worth noting, because that was such a dramatic number when it was first presented to us as a part of your assessment of the water system. So since we were talking water, wastewater, but I did want the board to be able to see that, because I think that that's something that's very important for them to know. So,
Thank you, Mayor, for that opportunity. I would also like now to introduce Mr. Wes Cardwell. A few of you guys have seen Wes before. He did our overall evaluation, comprehensive evaluation for the wastewater treatment plant, which was presented to the board. He's with Barber. They also did the design for our oxidation ditch rehabilitation there and our electrical upgrades at the plant. They have also been hired to do our latest project, which we're here to present to the board, about our headworks and clarifier project upgrade, which is going to really be a great improvement for that plant as well as our entire community going forward. And then at the end, Wes is going to give an update on how our aerator rehab project's going. So we'll try to keep it about 10-minute briefing here, and hope that if you have any questions, Wes is happy to answer those.
Thanks, everyone. Thank you all for the time. I think March of last year, I had the opportunity to come and share with you the results in our project, the comprehensive plan. I think I had about an hour that time. So definitely pulled the reins. It's easy for me to get in the weeds. I'll promise you I'll try to stay out of that. But these are two critical investments that Starkville is making into its infrastructure, into the wastewater plant. I'm excited to share with you just a little bit of what those projects entail. Our first, which was, I believe, approved last week to begin advertising, so something that we're moving forward with and anticipate receiving bids by the end of the year, is on our headworks clarifier and return activated sludge improvements. So I'm going to just, again, skim the surface of what that project will do and what it will unlock for the wastewater treatment plant. So the Ernest E. Jones Wastewater Treatment Plant Headworks, Clarifiers, and RAS Improvements project will replace the existing headworks facility and provide critical rehabilitation of the secondary clarifiers. And we're going to break it into two chunks just to talk very high level of what each of those elements are. But to give you some perspective of what we're actually touching at the plant, it's right in the middle, right in the central facilities of the wastewater treatment plant. So while it looks green, there's a lot going on below that grass, and so working within the confines of the plant is something unique to this project and something that we've been working through. Let's start with the headworks. A reliable headworks facility protects downstream process units through effective debris removal. So without going through each step of the wastewater treatment plant process, I always call this the first line of defense, because this is the very first process that wastewater goes through once it enters the wastewater treatment plant. Our goal here is to remove debris, to remove solids, really to protect our downstream equipment. So the first line of defense is truly, I think, the best descriptor of it, because this has to work reliably. It has to work in tough conditions. This is always the part of the plant that you don't want to go to on the tour because it stinks. I did save pictures. There's no pictures to show what this is doing. When it's working really well, you have a dumpster full of debris. No one wants to go there and see that. When it's not working well, you probably have debris everywhere. And that's also not a place that you want to spend. But that's a structure, it's original to the plant. The equipment has been replaced in the late 90s, early 2000s, but the structure is original to the plant, which was late 1970s, 1979. The existing headworks will be replaced with a new facility to reliably meet the treatment requirements. And we're going to just kind of break this into each of its different elements of what this is. This is just a quick rendering of what that new facility will include. The very first step of the process that wastewater goes through is fine screening. So the staff at the plant will be equipped with 2 perforated plate screens, which is very similar to the technology and similar manufacturer than what they have right now. One of the key elements of this is redundancy. We want to make sure that this facility is operating even if it's down for maintenance, if repairs are necessary, so not sacrificing that redundancy so that reliability is maintained Because usually when this system goes down, it's during either a storm or a tough day or a tough night at the plant. So we want to make sure that this is something that is going to operate when the conditions call for it. One thing that we are doing, while it is the same technology and the same manufacturer, we are actually reducing that opening size slightly to increase performance and to equip the plant staff to do even better than what they've been able to do with the equipment that they have. Our next step in the process as we're flowing downstream is grit removal, and this is the small gravel, sand, the things that would just absolutely destroy downstream equipment or accumulate. The project includes one mechanical vortex grit basin, and this is really an industry standard. There's been a lot of improvements with what, in terms of performance and what they're capable of being able to remove, and so this will equip the plant with a technology that is industry standard, something that is really going to allow them to do even better than what the current processes they have in place now. And then last, this includes a splitter box. You have 2 oxidation ditches, which is the next downstream process from the headworks. This is a structure, a splitter box, to allow us to evenly split flow. This is something that is a real tool for operators because they're able to maintain consistent conditions regardless of what they have. And this is also has the provisions for that future oxidation ditch down the road when that is necessary. So thinking a little bit further down the road to make sure that we're not doing something that we're painting ourselves in the corner that we can't utilize when we need to. Now actually, in the wastewater and the water industry, equipment lead times can be somewhat ridiculous. And surprises us every day. You'd think it would improve. But major equipment items for this facility were actually pre-purchased and bid in May of 2025 to accelerate equipment delivery. Just to give you an idea of what those lead times are, that grit removal chamber, the manufacturer commits to 400 days from the date that purchase order is signed to when equipment should be on site, if not a little bit better. The screening equipment's a little bit better, but it's just shy of a calendar year. So we initiated that bidding process back in May, and are expecting that equipment to show up to the site, hopefully right on time for the contractor to unload it off the truck and to install it or to have it ready to take ownership of. Following our oxidation ditches, our secondary clarifiers, and this is a performance that is extremely critical for consistent permit compliance. So this is a process that follows oxidation ditches, and really the function of that is to allow our biomass, our biology that's actually carrying the brunt of our treatment responsibility to settle. It's just a big wide spot in the line. And those are, 2 of those in the middle are original to the plant in 1979, while the third one out to the right was constructed in the early 1990s, just to give you perspective. Now they look nice and pretty, which that's subjective. This may look horrible to you, but at the surface you see a nice clear water, and on a pretty day these are always great pictures to take. But actually below that water surface there's a lot of equipment that's serving the function of that treatment process.
Is that the newly cleaned out one?
No, this is not newly cleaned out. This was taken out for service, and this was what you see on the right. So this is just kind of to give you an idea of what is happening beneath the surface. All of that sludge that settles, those arms are intended to rake that to the middle so that we can pump it and actually reuse that biology. Those are bugs that are ready for treatment again and get it back to our oxidation ditches. Just what you saw effectively below the water level, we're pulling out and replacing due to the age of that equipment. And so this is just a rendering of what that will be, but effectively everything that you saw, once we pulled the water out of the tank, we're going to replace and equip plant staff again with more reliable new equipment to allow them to do their jobs just even better. I mentioned this project was approved to move forward with the bidding process. I apologize for the error. The bid opening is not December of 2026. It's mid-December in 2 months. And so we are aggressively working towards getting those documents issued and moving forward with the bidding process. Anticipate the contractor being on site and roughly taking a year to a year and a half. So beginning in February of 2026 till about mid-summer, late summer of 2027 is our idea, our estimation for what the project will take to get online. Now, as they're working through there, one of the things that you'll notice, that's for final project completion. We anticipate, again, we can't just take all 3 clarifiers down at one time. That's one of the challenges for doing construction projects within active wastewater treatment plants is we got to still provide treatment, right? So there's a lot of phases as we go down there. So clarifiers, for instance, will come online and be rehabilitated in series. And so as we're going through this process, that reliability is actually increasing as soon as the beginning of 2027. Any questions on that project, or I can get to the very end and take questions on both, whichever you would
Just
prefer,
go
Mayor.
and get to the end. and
Okay, so that was the design project that again I mentioned is moving forward with bidding. I wanted to take this opportunity just to give a very quick update on the current project that's under construction, and that's the aeration improvements project. So for those that may not be familiar, this project includes replacement of the existing aerators as well as the associated electrical rehabilitation. I'm not going to talk about any of the electrical elements. I mentioned that long lead time process. We're still waiting on quite a bit of that equipment. So there's just sort of a purchase order and a submittal, not much to show for that, but it is coming on schedule, which is a good thing. While the project did bid in late August of 2024, on-site construction activities could not begin until June of 2025. A few reasons for that. One, we wanted to be sure that we timed taking this out of service as closely as we could with school when flows it made the most sense, so that we're not just placing the plant at risk. That was a big element of it, as well as to allow the contractor to start that equipment procurement process and not just be sitting around the site looking for something to do. Right now, if you go out to the plant, oxidation ditch number 1, which is the one on the left of this aerial photo, is out of service and is currently being rehabilitated. If you've ever seen it full of its contents, this is what it looks like without that. So again, the structure has been drained, it's been cleaned out, and I just wanted to show a few pictures of what these, I believe these are beginning of October. I don't have photos as of yesterday, but the contractor is making great progress with this rehab. Again, clean basin. One of the things that we're doing as a part of this is improving the structural capabilities necessary to support the equipment. That's being done by installation of piers, so that's what you see, that piece of equipment and staff carrying to put into place.
I didn't think it was possible to see it that clean.
It can be. A lot of work went to get it to that degree.
And how deep did we determine it was? 12?
Looks toward them,
The entire structure, 12 to 14 feet.
12, okay.
Yes, ma'am. To give you an idea of schedule, again, we started summer of this year effectively. We're tracking and fingers crossed, continuing to work towards late November, early December for having that first oxidation ditch rehabilitated. Now that still requires some equipment installation. There's a lot that has to happen for that to successfully go forward, but we're getting close, and that's a very positive thing. Once that is commissioned and placed into service, then we'll shift our focus to the next oxidation ditch, and again, anticipate that starting early next year. With this project, again, with everything going to place for us as we envision, wrapping up early to mid-summer of 2026.
So were 1 and 2 built at the same time?
They were,
So they're
yes.
gonna be equally as deep?
Yes,
Okay, identical? Okay.
we expect it to be. You never know what you're gonna get until it's
That's
true,
true,
but
but
we
I
expect
figured
it
if
to
they
be.
did them at the same time, they were making them identical?
Yes.
Okay.
Now, one thing that I did want to mention, we've talked about 2 projects. That's a lot going on at the wastewater treatment plant, but one of the things that I think is good as it relates to this is each project is independent and can be completed without impacting the other. The Headworks is a new structure. We cannot reutilize the existing, so that will be the focus of the contractor for the very bulk of the beginning of his efforts until that equipment shows up. And about the time that we're ready to start taking clarifiers down to begin that work, I anticipate the aeration project being completed and that project being wrapped up. So it should stack like dominoes in a pretty strategic way, I think. And ultimately what that means is from an operations and maintaining the plant. We'd love to close that valve at the front and wait 12 months and then turn it back on once we're done. No one wants that because of the obvious reasons, right? So we have to deal with what's coming in and still meet permit requirements as best as we can and provide all of the treatment that Thomas and his team work so hard to do We don't want to put that at risk more than we have to, which is just the nature of construction. As these projects are completed, capacity of the wastewater treatment plant will be restored. And so this is a graph that we shared back in March of last year, but just to kind of show you, as we are completing these improvements, completing these projects, we are providing capacity back into the plant. So until we have the aeration improvements projects complete, I'm showing two numbers here just to give you an idea of what those are. The maroon is the annual average daily flow. This is what we would expect if I took a 365-day average of the previous year. That's just on an average daily basis, this is what the flow we would expect. The blue numbers are the peak flow, so during that rain event or when the gully washers happen and our flows just come up, that's the capacity associated with the peak side of things. So as it sits today, a current capacity of 4 MGD, average 6.9 peak. Following the aeration improvements project, we'll be able to increase that capacity to 4.7 and 6.9, but still limited by the headworks. And so following the headworks improvements, we'll be able to increase that capacity to 5.1 and to 8. And really once the clarifier project is complete, that's where I anticipate really unlocking the capacity on a peak day consideration, because we want those to work under peak. It's so important. Average day flow stays the same because that's dictated by your oxidation ditches, so not the clarifier performance, but clarifier dictates the capacity under peak conditions, so that's at 15.1. And again, from a timeline perspective, June of 26 for the aeration. Anticipate the headworks coming online in late next year, December of 2026, with the clarifiers being completed, all three being completed in July of 2027. Now, last slide, what does that mean for system capacity? And this is just to kind of give you an idea, just what Wes just said, 4.7 mg to 5.1, what does that really mean? And here's some kind of industry data just for perspective. For every 100,000 gallons of wastewater at average day conditions, that would be 220 homes for a family of 4 on average per capita. In Starkville, from the comprehensive plan, we found that about 113 gallons per day per person is produced, so that's just using that math to get to that. That could equate to 1,100 apartments with 2 people living in each, assuming kind of standard water usage, or 330 offices, assuming a staff of 25, or 35 hotels, assuming 50 guests and 5 workers. So there's a lot of numbers there that you move around to see what you really get. But I wanted to share this just to show that every incremental impact is a big deal, and it makes sense to be investing like Starkville is to really catch up to what they need to be for the city.
All right.
I believe with that
Any questions?
Yes, ma'am.
What triggers the third oxidation ditch?
Well, right now what we included in the comprehensive plan is really kind of flow targets. As flow increases, as growth occurs, and as the city accepts more wastewater to the plant, we want to keep a very close eye on that to make sure that we're getting ahead. Typically 80 to 85% of your capacity, you want to be thinking about that. But certainly it's a case-by-case basis. Some people are growing way more aggressively, and so in that case, maybe we don't need that. Maybe we need to be thinking something sooner. But that's a good rule of thumb, is 80 to 85%. And in a lot of states, that's actually the requirement to trigger that. That's in regulations.
I believe that was triggered around year 15 of the plan, if we continue the same growth pattern. Based on
Anyone else? All right, thank you very much. Appreciate your patience in hanging with us for the first presentation, and so thank you
Absolutely.
for
Thank you
being
very
here.
much.
We appreciate it, and appreciate your work on this, because this is obviously critical to our growth.
Yes.
All right, we'll move into our board items, which the first two we have consideration of the minutes for October 17th and the 21st. Mr. Huskisson, you have looked at those. Ms. McLaurin, you're good with those, so we consent for those items? Okay. Then we'll have comments. We've got employee introductions, and then I'll remember to iterate the Veterans Day pickup schedule, which that's going to be a Tuesday. So that will be the first opportunity to do that, or the last opportunity to do that prior to the Veterans Day holiday. We have no public appearances scheduled. All right, public hearings, we're going to have the third public hearing and hopefully consideration of the adoption of the non-consensual predatory towing ordinance. I dropped something into an email I received a couple of days ago. I dropped it into the e-packet box. It was after you had printed those out, so that if you look at it, you can see that if you want to drop that into the e-packet. And it got distributed out, I believe, to all the board members, so y'all will have seen it, but that allows public access. And then we'll have a public hearing on the exception for a detached duplex. Mr. McCaskey, anything you want to share with us on that one at this point?
Yes, okay, so this actually has two aspects to it. This has the special exception request for the detached duplex, and it also has the variance request for the allowed percentage of a front yard to be covered in a hard surface. So the special exception portion, that was actually recommended for approval by the Planning and Zoning Commission on a 3-to-1 vote. But it does have planning staff recommending for denial on that request in the current way that it is actually structured.
3-to-1 vote. Where are all our P&Z people?
There were two of them, I believe, that were not able to be there at that meeting with excused absences.
Okay, all right, I just wondered that, thought maybe we had some absences that we hadn't addressed, so.
Yes, and then on the variance request, that one actually was unanimously recommended for denial for the request as well, as far as covering 65% instead of the allowed 40% of the front yard in a hard surface.
Okay, and just to orient everyone, for those of you who don't travel Ware Street very often, it's just right back up here behind West Main, on the top of the hill up there, so. All right, any questions of Mr. McCaskey? All right, thank you. All right, under Mayor's business, we have got the necessity for invoking the authority granted to on and on and on. This is the TIF request for the new hotel and the living area, and this language is the necessary language for the resolution associated with that, so that's the reason it is as, we'll say, wordy as it is. So if this is one of those things, guys, that we had talked about before in terms of supporting, this is the advertisement for it, so this is step number one. And I haven't heard any conversation about it that is in the negative, so are we comfortable with the consent on this one?
Leave it on, Mayor.
All right, we'll leave it off. And then secondarily, this would be called for the first public hearing on the aggressive panhandling ordinance, which we briefly mentioned as a part of, I think, the last board meeting. We'll have two public hearings. I've added one sentence that basically says the panhandling should not occur at night when it's dark. And so this is just calling for the public hearing. So consent for that?
Consent.
Yes, ma'am, but we need to change page 6 on that to the current board. It's got
The old board?
Yes.
Okay, I will fix that. All I did was go in and do that, but I'll make that adjustment, so thank you. Okay. And it is, again, just a reference point, so, okay. All right, and then we need to reappoint Mr. Smiley to the Golden Triangle Regional Landfill Authority, so consent for that one.
Consent.
And then there is a request, Vice Mayor asked for a detailed report on the work done regarding the 182 revitalization to be on the board meeting, so we will just deal with that at the board meeting. We have engineering, general service agreement, task order. Mr. Kemp, anything you want to share? I'm sorry, where's I apologize. I'm looking straight ahead and I reverted to a couple of years ago, so go ahead, sorry.
This is for Heflin Engineering. This is for some of the traffic initiatives we've done. We're partnering with the police department to use cameras for both engineering as well as PD. It also helps with some of the things Chris is working on, get the fiber back to City Hall so that we're able to monitor intersections, have the control of those cabinets, things like that.
Okay, and this is a not to exceed amount, right?
Yes, ma'am. And for what it's worth, this gentleman was the city engineer for Richland for years, and they were the mecca of, I would say, all things traffic signals. So he knows what he's doing. So he's an extension of us and helping us get going.
All right, consent for that one?
Consent.
Okay. And then renewing the construction inspection services contract with Mr. Mark Shaw, consent for that one?
Consent.
And then renewing the tree maintenance services contract, and these are the folks that we've been in contract with before, so both of them.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Consent for that one?
Consent.
Okay. And then let's see, purchase of agenda software. This is the software that is going to assist Ms. McLaurin in the agenda creation and hopefully streamline what she's doing. Is that correct? All right, a good representation of that? All right, consent for that one?
Consent, Mayor.
Okay. And then a 60-month lease with Enterprise Fleet Management. These are for the vehicles for the police department.
Consent.
And sanitation as well, okay, consent for the, and parks, sorry, I didn't drop all the way down. All right, and those are all in the budget.
Yes.
All right, HR, so we have the holiday schedule, which we do this time of year every year for, this will be for 2026, obviously, so consent for that one,
Consent.
okay? And then, the other ones are hirings, and we do need to leave off item 6 from the consent agenda, but can we get consent for those, these positions are, not new positions, correct?
Could we also leave off 5, the advertisement? I have some questions that I need to resolve.
Okay, all right, so consent for 1, 2, and 3, and then 4, and we will leave 5 and 6 off. Okay? And then IT, this is a required renewal of our Google Workspace use, so consent for that one.
Yes, ma'am.
And then parks, we have professional services for landscaping. Mr. Williams, anything you want to share with us about that?
So this
particular?
is doing a planning plan for Jail King Park, with the culvert replacement project. We lost a lot of our mature trees in there, so this is going back through and designing it. And then we'll take that plan and use in-house staff to try to plan it back and try to save some money for it as well.
Okay, I think that's a great collaboration. Consent for that one?
Consent.
Okay. And the police department, chief, we have an interlocal on the human trafficking task force. Anything you want to share with us on that one?
Yes, ma'am. I think that there was concerns about the treasury role, and I think it's part of what we've done. In Mississippi, you don't have an interlocal anywhere for human trafficking. We're gonna be the first. What we did is model it after working with Senator Bond's attorney, with the city attorney. We modeled it over the same things that you said, drug task force. And that allows us to work cooperatively together to go in, work with Knoxville, work with Lowndes, and other areas. And it is kind of centered around the crimes of prostitution.
Okay.
And I still have questions that I didn't get an answer for that I've asked about. It refers to a budget and financial record keeping and all that sort of thing. And I asked how that fit in our current financial system, because it's not something we budgeted for, and I'm not sure what the implications are, or if it was gonna be, because it's a multi-county and municipality thing, if it's gonna be an external agency entity that would set up this financial record keeping, and I've been waiting for an answer for that, so.
Okay.
Yeah, and I apologize, I was thinking I had responded with the treasury role is, the main thing is gonna be the amount of seizure. It's not cost, payroll, anything along the lines that you can see in a normal city. The same with our drug seizures, how they're operated up under the district attorney's office, and distributed out with a pre-agreed type of setting. That's the same way that this is setting up. And
So it's strictly for seizures?
it's strictly for
Seizure
seizures, not
funds?
for personnel, not for allocation of resources, cars, or anything like that. This is designed upon seizure structure for distributions of funds in the same way that we talk about with the narcotic seizure funds and how they are distributed and set in certain ways. That's the way this would be set.
And you don't anticipate donations or anything like that that would complicate any revenue sources that would, beyond the seizures, that would complicate this?
If we approach that area, obviously, with Starkville being the lead driver on that, you would be the first I would reference on that to set it up, or to see if someone wanted to donate. It would be best for you to go to Knoxville County and donate, given that line item, go to the city of Starkville, donate that line item. That way we can remove any complications there.
That helps?
So there's no cost.
No cost, but it's really more a reporting issue for the city, and a liability issue for the city if we're the gatekeeper for all that sort of thing. And I just wanted to be sure that it didn't somehow get commingled, that we had the capacity to monitor this separately from other
Yeah.
seizures that.
Does it
we do.
interfere or create any issues with the audit?
That's a question.
And he's going no.
I doubt it. I mean, we'd set up a separate fund and
Yeah.
just hold it there.
Okay, all right, you good?
How you feel about it, Chief? Well, how you feel about it?
We can handle it, I mean, we just gotta know the information to properly track it.
Chief, how you?
It's new, I think it's important, I think, with five, just in real talk, with five major factories coming in, heavy constructions, we're dealing with people from Texas to Alaska, to California to New Jersey. And, we're dealing with a lot of stuff, from the public safety standpoint. I think this is inroads to help us more effectively work, with those type of crimes.
He initiated it, so. You good?
Consent,
Consent.
consent or board? Consent.
Okay. All right, utilities. Now, Mr. Kemp, sorry. Accepting a sole source quote from Wesco Annixter for the VA modules. This is the.
This is another 1,000
Okay.
units of the RTM or the radio equipment.
Right, does this complete our?
This is kind of like pre-purchasing because
Okay.
there's a 6-month lead time.
Right.
So we feel like we will be pretty much out of stock in 6 months, so this will be, kind of giving us some available
Okay.
material with that.
This is just something we'll do repetitively to maintain inventory.
Well, yes, and we don't know what the failure rate is gonna look like, going forward, so we're kind of speculating a little bit. We'd rather have it here and keep it in stock than to not have it and have, meters that aren't communicating, so.
Okay. Well, we expect them to have a decent life, so we're not buying something that sits on the shelf for a while and then is outdated.
Right. And we actually don't kind of wake these up until we marry them out of the field. So it's kind of like when you pull the little tag on the flashlight
Yeah.
to make,
Okay.
activate the battery, so it's a similar process.
Okay. Hold on, hold on, did I see her?
How many does that make now? Is this our 5th round of them?
This is our 4th round of them, I think it's 3,500 and 4,000 units.
Okay, all right. Consent for that one?
Consent.
Okay. And then last but not least, we have sole source quote for bioset mixing chamber repairs for the wastewater treatment plant.
Consent.
Consent for that one? All right. Ladies and gentlemen, that takes us to the end. We have a Starkville High School game this evening.
That is it. Senior night.
Yes, it is, senior night. And we have Halloween as well, so I'm sure there'll be activities out and about. Appreciate everyone, and everyone have a great weekend. We will see you on Tuesday for our first meeting in November.
Yeah.